and everyone else's definition of these words are wrong. But the philosophers, his abuse of the authority that he determines, is Muhammad, which is Ayn Rand, says that that's the philosophy, that is the definition. Okay, can't be questioned.
It's not Ayn Rand. It's Plato who says there's floating forms.
It doesn't matter who the fuck it is. It's your fucking Muhammad.
What did you
Well,
say?
in reality, how people describe what they're talking about. So if you're going to put me in the same camp as these people, it would be wrong because I'm not saying the same thing as these people. So
what is the valid criticism of the definition that you're using?
What do you mean the valid?
No, I guess. Can you give me an example? Give me an example of.
There's no criticism possible. Therefore,
but let him
just your religious fundamentalist.
I'm literally giving you.
You're literally a fundamentalist.
Oh my God, man!
So what would be something subjective, Simon, when someone being deposed? What would be a subjective thing?
A subjective thing would be based off of if you're divorcing the facts to replace the facts with your subjective emotions.
Okay, so when some guy says I get paid $50,000 a month, and they question him about it, and he says, "Well, I meant to say $150,000 a month, meaning this entire business belongs to me." Is he not divorcing the facts of reality that we're looking at a piece of paper where he literally says, "I get paid $50,000 a month"?
I was right.
Say that again.
Okay.
What does that have to do with being a...
He's asking you with regards to his deposition yesterday and his ongoing criminal trial.
Docs.
Just
No, it has nothing to do with criminal. No, I'm saying that if someone says, "I get paid this much," so one guy says in a conversation, "Doesn't the whole company make this much?" And the other guy says, "Yeah, so I get paid this much." And then they're asking him about it, and you're like, "Hey, aren't you right here confirming that you were 1/3?" And he goes, "No, that's a typo. I meant to have a 1 in front of that 5, meaning it all belongs to me."
Okay.
So
That's not subjective. That's not divorced from the conversation, from the context of the conversation.
You could just be lying. But again,
Let's say he believes it.
but what are you implying? You're suing one of your former business partners?
if he's appealing to his emotions to
We're
argue,
speaking in the hypothetical here.
yeah, if he's arguing his emotions to say I'm right because or I made X, based off of absolutely nothing in reality, then yes, he's using his emotions.
Okay,
And
so
it's being subjective, as opposed to if he's paper and he's saying I made $100,000 and the facts about me making $100,000 accurately represent that, then he's being objective. But if you have a paper that says he made $50,000, then you're also being objective because you're adhering to the actual object, the facts in reality. Just because you don't have all of the facts doesn't mean that you're being subjective. It just means you don't have enough evidence to support, whatever he's, trying to claim. But again, that's a whole other thing. But the point still stands.
right.
As long as you're adhering to the object in reality, you are being objective.
Okay, but you're conflating terms here. Facts based on what you just described are subject to change based on more context.
Why are you stating obvious? Why are you making obvious statements?
On the object in reality, you have to identify what those facts are. So you might not have all those facts, but you still need to be
I know, but you're saying that these facts are subject.
Yeah, go ahead.
Simon, you're saying that these facts they can change if someone adds more context.
Well, yeah, knowledge is contextual.
Okay, so
Can't
the
be
point
efficient.
exactly, and that's the whole point. If knowledge is contextual, guess what is not contextual? Truth. Truth is not contextual.
Jesus, I've read books. I mean, are you guys literally learning how to use English for the first time? You're defining terms. What's wrong with you people? You guys are having a conversation about defining terms, and you're completely unaware of it. Kick me. Like it fucking matters. It's so stupid. To chill us.
You're okay. I was just saying that's weird to me. You feel what I'm saying?
Because you grew up in a
This is
different
for
system.
now.
This is a new day and age.
Hold on. Why is it
Kids
weird?
are digital first.
Because
Right?
it's I know that it's not human. Like, so if it was like my wife or something, right? I know that you're not human. So the fact that you're so good at being human would be weird to me.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't have. That's what.
I'll tell you what.
And other things too.
So let's do this. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
We doing another cue or
So because I do want to hear, because Io hasn't spoken. We've all spoken. Io is one of the experts in this field, so I do think it's important to get his perspective on some of these, because he's been listening. I love his critique also, or whatever his perspective is, and then we'll go to you, Pops.
Nah, you gotta catch him up.
Thanks.
You gotta catch him up. So
Okay.
You
said what?
You want to reset? I think you should catch. Yeah, with the whole school thing and what you're talking about with the they want to reset.
Io should respond to that?
No, they want to reset the room just before. Because you said he's an expert.
They will focus on education. I know Io was here. Were you not here?
I was here, but maybe it's the room reset.
He was here. Yeah, I saw Io.
Yo, King, let's accept it, bro. Let's accept it, bro. I'm not talking about listen, AI can do all the tap dancing, but it's not gonna get that genuine human experience, bro. But what a kid needs, bro, in their adolescent phases, it's not gonna do that.
Doesn't need to. So
then it's not gonna replace the teaching.
It will, because in order to
Just said it
replace
doesn't need to do that. That's one of the fundamental things about teaching.
Just listen. See, you got a lot of people make this mistake. I forget what fallacy is called, but you're assuming a measurement in which the AI needs to replicate all of what a human does, rather than replicating the necessary function and then allowing someone else to assist with the rest that cannot be captured by the AI. You keep thinking that I'm talking about just an AI model. No, the AI would work in
No, but can you?
I
I ain't gonna lie. You just brought up it being indistinguishable from a human, bro.
Absolutely.
So why would you bring that up? Hold on. I'm saying, why would you bring that up and then say you're not saying they have to be all this and you're contradicting yourself right now.
No, I'm not. There's no contradiction, because what I'm showing is
Not just a lot of women just want to take dopamine as they
right
face.
part
True
of
man
the
will
human
wait, never indulges a woman
in such a way where it
dopamine.
only needs a basic human assistant that doesn't even need to have the education, because the AI as itself takes care of that. That's the point. You're reducing the cost of teaching to near zero, because the AI already sounds human, can already teach with the cadence.
Can the AI
all those things?
Can the AI do classroom management? Like, what about classroom management? How would the AI be able to acquire classroom management?
What is it called?
Classroom management.
Why are you guys thinking
So just like I said, it's not going to replace teachers.
Yes, it will. Nathan, listen.
No, it's just going to assist teachers.
Just listen. The human assistant no longer.
It'll become a different
type of your job. Expertise. It doesn't need to have.
No. That's part of teaching. That's part of teaching.
AI takes care of that.
No, classroom management is something you learn when you become a teacher. You go to school to be educated on classroom. No, AI, you just said AI doesn't do classroom management.
It does. The physical management of a classroom. Right.
That's an easy example. The harder thing is
saying,
hey, we're gonna.
Well, let me go. What is classroom management?
Right. The ability. So we're talking about the management of each child, whereas you're taking papers, you're making sure each student is here, you're making sure each student is paying attention to the curriculum.
It's a little bit more than that. That's an oversimplification, but it's more than
How
that.
was that? You didn't even let me finish.
Classroom.
Going through each one.
Yeah, but you were on the wrong route. Listen, classroom management is everything to do with what you call it, like the development of the child within the classroom. Sorting out wait 1 second, bro. Sorting out your special ed learners, bro. From your non-special ed learners, from your traditional students as well too.
Okay.
Assistant students who are low grades to students who have higher grade like this. Classroom management, what I'm saying, the classroom management requires someone to facilitate, bro.
Okay, I said human assistant. You're not saying anything I haven't covered.
Yeah.
So
When you say human assistant, wait, when you say human assistant, it's like, why would you replace a teacher and have a human assistant when that's part of the teacher?
Longer to train a teacher. Because now,
What do you mean?
hold on, I just.
Oh my God, you don't get it? You don't get it? That's a class with an education that you learn, right? You're not gonna just understand classroom management and have a person just study one. Yeah, just study classroom management.
So
just study classroom management and not understand education.
That's exactly what's going to happen, sir. So what Uber did to the taxi system, where it allowed more people to essentially become taxi drivers, AI plus this human hybrid is going to do the same thing, where it allows more people to participate in the child education developmental system that previously couldn't do it before, because now the AI takes care of the heavy loading, and you simply need to be qualified to assist it in such a way where it can facilitate that curriculum.
So you just don't teach us working with AI.
No, because now remember the key here, Nathan, is more. Remember, like Uber, now more people, because they don't have to become some expert in something. More people can qualify to simply assist.
What do you mean expert? You think
He wants AI working with teachers, not teachers working with AI.
Yes, that's right.
No, what he's talking about is the requirement of a bachelor's degree.
Correct.
You think teachers are expert within teaching, bro?
You don't need a bachelor's degree anymore.
I got what you're saying. You technically don't. You technically don't, right? You technically don't need a bachelor's degree in a lot of positions, right? I get that. But but the thing is, if you're going to be a professional, right? That's one of the tools you need to be a professional, a bachelor's degree. That's why it's required. But if we're talking about teachers are profession. It's a specific profession, bro, in education. That's why it's the
okay. So let me finish with this, and then let's go to IO. Because you know me, Nathan, I like to make these things tangible in a way where we can measure this. So I'm saying, Nathan, in less than 3 years, the headline is going to be AI teacher Betty or Sarah takes the world by storm. That's what you're going to see. That's what we're going to see. Someone's going to create a system, an AI system, that's a better education system for damn near zero, and that
in 3 years.
It's going to take over all the headlines in less than
3 years.
In less than 3 years.
Okay, let's do it.
He's talking about the model.
Wait, bro, why are you talking, bro?
King,
Bro, only people on the stage
do.
who take that desk can speak.
So why the fuck he talking?
Nathan, can I ask you a question real quick? King, what is the responsibilities of the human? I think it would help the conversation. What are the responsibilities of the human assistant? What does a day for the human assistant look like? That might bring a little bit more understanding.
Yeah. So
they like similar like a substitute teacher?
Yes, very similar. I'm glad you caught that, Nathan. So it's similar to a substitute teacher in the sense that he is only there to help facilitate, like for instance, if you need to pass out papers, if that's the case, or if you need to like Nathan said, there's certain kids that have behavioral issues. If the teacher can monitor, the human assistant can monitor those kids, put them in a specific course. He's only there, he or she is, and it's really he, because we need more he's. He is only there to help facilitate the things that the AI cannot capture. That is what he's there for. And more people can qualify for that than we currently have in the system.
Hey, I disagree, bro. You gotta listen to the AI is gonna tell. Listen to the teachers first year. Listen to teachers first year of teaching, bro, and see how long it takes you. See how long it takes students to be like fully incorporated into like their learning.
Yeah, you don't know how bad. Like I said, let's look for the headlines, bro.
I think you don't understand how bad it is, bro. Like when you have kids that don't want to learn, bro, and you gotta come up with creative ways for them to learn. You as an individual, and and that comes with your delivery. AI isn't going to be able to do that, bro. I don't know if you went to school with Pookies and Ray Rays, bro, but I went to school with Pookies and Ray Rays, bro. They wasn't sitting down there, bro. They wasn't sitting down there, bro. Was like, you know what? I'm happy of being here. They wanted to be. They didn't like it over there, bro. I think that you're right. I think that listen, it's gonna try out for maybe like a year. Then they're gonna realize that you know what? We need to bring the teachers. I remember. Look, think about this. I remember I was in the military, right? They decided to get rid of the drill sergeants and advance individual training, right? That's after boot camp. After you go to boot camp, you go to a specialized school for your job, right? So say if you're doing finance, you have to go to finance. So they had these not drill sergeants, they were called platoon sergeants, right? They was less strict, they was a little bit understandable, and those new ass soldiers, bro, they ran through. I'm talking about pregnancy, drugs, like it was hard to be able to retain soldiers. So shortly afterwards, they implemented the drill sergeants back because they realized that they took a little bit off their neck, bro, and they were able to abuse the system. That's what AI is going to do. It's going to have a whole bunch of people abusing the system, bro, and they're going to say, you know what? We need to bring the teachers back, bro.
All right. I love the doom perspective. It's needed so people get a contrast. But I told you what's going to happen in less than 3 years, so we can make this real. We will see a headline. Teacher Betty, whatever they're going to call it, Teacher Lola takes the world by storm. So let's go to IO because IO is an expert more than me, right? And I would love to hear his perspective on all of this. When it comes to school choice, the education system, what's coming with AI, anything you want to touch on, IO. Would love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, thanks. Just before I get started, I'm going to be in Detroit the 12th to the 15th. So if you're in that area, I might be able to meet up with you. I'm going to an Automate conference there. But on the topic of automation in schools are already using AI to make custom curriculums. In fact, I've consulted for a few schools and principals, like they're already doing that. So like what's happening is I think the teacher training is going to become different, and we're still going to call it teacher, but it's not going to be like, hey, you need to be a master's level in chemistry to teach kids in high school so that they can go learn university chemistry, right? You need somebody at that level. That's usually how it goes. A bachelor's in chemistry is usually not enough. They want you to have something a little bit higher. So you're kind of talking down to the students. That's just how I view the system. Now, whether or not that's going to remain, I think that's in jeopardy for one reason, because the AI gives better answers than I can for some technical questions, even if I'm given a lot of time to think about it. And that's like for things where I'm a specialist. So it's already encroaching on specialist knowledge. I think what's going to happen is students will spend more time engaging in perhaps project building. And so school is going to be less about, hey, did you make the mark? It's going to be more like, what mark did you leave on your society? South Korea famously has this kind of program in their schools, and they call it like nano degrees or micro degrees. You end up specializing in something in the course. It's not just, hey, it's a math class. No, we're doing robotics, and here's all the math you have to know that we're going to do, and here's all the writing and English you're going to have to know, and so on and so forth. So the problem right now is that everyone sees kids that are disenfranchised by virtue of the pandemic, so the kids are already lagging where they were a few years ago. I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic. It's kind of like they're 4 or 5 years behind in terms of where we were when perhaps we went to school. So what's happening is the curriculum is being reduced, and we're going to have to make up the slack somewhere. So these machines, like an AI robot in a classroom teaching everybody or helping the teacher, that's just a matter of time. The robots are going to be very, very inexpensive. And in fact, it'll be something like, hey, maybe the janitor is a robot, but the janitor is like Einstein, the robot, that he's always going to have the best answer. Think Bicentennial Man. And what's most likely going to happen is, forget the schools, because the schools are lagging behind. I said I'm consulting for them, but they only kind of reached out to me for consulting after the parents told them that I was teaching their kids AI. So the school was like, wait, hold on, we want to meet this person who's teaching our kids. So the private schools are taking notice and they're adjusting their curriculum. When are the other schools going to do it? So it already says that it's a grassroots problem. parents are saying, you know what, I'm going to substitute this myself with this AI. And all you need right now is just one company to do basic tutoring very easily in a kind of a safe environment. And that company, as King said, it's going to dominate. Because as soon as you get a little bit of parents saying, yeah, I trust you to use this, and the teacher can kind of sign off on the censorship, make it an opt-in thing. Like right now, I go to the doctor and I show them, I'm like, ChatGPT said this, prove it wrong. The doctor's like, excuse me, what? And I'm like, no, here's what the AI said. Here's all the symptoms. I described it as best as I can, and the doctors appreciate that. The same thing is going to happen with our kids. The classroom's going to get flipped. The kids are going to learn all the shit on their time, and what they're going to come to school for is socialization, networking, and kind of mission planning. We want all our kids to be like in the Starfleet Academy. We want them to build the future, and that's going to require socialization. It's going to be something more like a mentor, like a speaker. Like every day of the week, there's going to be a new person who comes to class, and the teacher is going to be like a coordinator. They're going to coordinate the AI lessons. They're going to coordinate the guest speakers. It's going to be like that all the time. So, but that's what private school looks like right now, I'm telling you. So public schools will begin to look like that, and everyone will benefit. I don't know if they'll totally get because it's a legal issue. So it's like a babysitting legal issue. The kids are in the custody of the adults. So I don't know if we're going to allow custody of children with robots. That would be interesting. China's, doing weird things like that, but in China you see a robot dog being walked by a robot. So that's kind of weird. So who knows? But for what it's worth, I think it's a great direction that it's going. It's going to be very disruptive, as King suggests, but there is still that caveat of custody. So I think Nathan has a good point about you're still going to need the teachers by virtue of that legal.
Well, I love something you said. You said, and this makes so much sense. Public schools or these traditional schools will essentially turn into social centers where instead of them facilitating curriculums, they're simply there to keep up this socialization that everyone always harps on. That makes so much so no longer do you need teachers to, be, to almost like treat kids like cattle. That's taken care of. And so now you can focus on, like you said, mission building. Man, that makes so much sense.
That's how the private schools do it now, though. So that's like, it's a lag that the public schools are going to catch up to. But this is like, it was surprising to me. I really liked it. I'll post a video. It's called Battelle Memorial Institute. And they're the ones who first did this about 20 years ago with the flipped classroom. And if you want to know who Battelle is, Battelle was the guy who helped fund Xerox. So it's like the legend before the legend before the legend. So it's quite the place. And they do crazy shit. And they run a lottery for kids all over the country. Does not discriminate on any reason. They just pick kids at random. And their system is it's an Excel. It's not acceleration, but you have to excel in the course. So you have to get 90 or higher to progress to the next level. They don't just drag you by your ear, which is what Knowledge also mentioned. That, hey, he failed a bunch of grades, but they still pulled him through. So you didn't see any benefit in that education. So that's also.
Big, I know what this is all really about.
Like, how do you even, lying? That was, and obviously that's why I love I.O., but, man, bro, how you feel about that line? Because, that makes so much sense. Lying, because you did the homeschooling thing. So, how do you feel about, you homeschool, but then the high school just turns into a social center?
This ain't about that, King. You were fighting because you were fighting for this. Check the chat.
Hold on, let me see.
I figured you out, bro.
Hold on, let me see.
I know what this is about.
He's fighting for us to normalize. Well, hold on.
That's what this is all about.
Wait, come on, Lion. Why are you doing that, Lion? Come on, Lion. I get it. Maybe AI girlfriend is the only way for me.
Now, bro.
Maybe AI girlfriends are the only way for me to reach 700 brides in this life. But come on, Lion. Let's not do that, man. Let's not do that, man.
You know, come on now. You know why they call me King Solomon. Let's not do this, bro.
That makes so much sense. No, King, that makes sense.
Yeah. Nathan.
Such a big cost to it. So
Say it again, Mike.
You know that being with a human girl has such a big cost to it. So you're like, yeah, interesting.
Look, I don't like all the AI girlfriend shit, but Nathan, what Io said was brilliant because everyone's always like, oh, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do to socialize kids? The kids are not gonna be socialized before. But you could essentially just turn these public schools into glorified social centers where they no longer need to teach, but they can focus on facilitated activity, mission goals, all the things that Io laid out. I think that makes so much
sense. You're
sense.
gonna change the education system. You're gonna take off from the ground up, like ChatGPT did.
That's what he's saying. Like he's saying,
they're not waiting for taking up the education.
Wait, I have an important question. It's already happening, Nathan.
Yo,
go ahead, Kim. It's already happening.
So, Io and King.
When does it mic off? Sorry, when does it mic off?
Oh, my bad. My bad. Let Chaos just...
No, I'll go real quick because my hands are getting dirty.
My bad, Chaos. Just let him go real quick.
All right, so I mean, well said, Io, and I appreciate always appreciate having a professional in this space. To everyone who's a proponent for it, I've said before, it's easy to look at the upside risk. That's the easiest thing to do. Look at the silver lining. Look at all the savior, right? Look at the gold paved road. I just and I'm on all for it, right? And King, you said something earlier I wanted to address. He was like, yo, it's the same thing. We sound the same way with Bitcoin. Facts, but usually Bitcoin was invented to address an issue, right? And that's why it was successful or it's going successful. We're specifically in the educational aspect, what issue needs to be addressed?
Yeah, the kids are not being taught.
Okay, I mean, who's to say that? I think, our kids were taught to. Wait. Let me just give you. Hold on. Let me just. Okay, I get that. That isn't. I'm not saying there isn't an issue, right? I'm not, but I don't believe the issue needs to be immediately addressed by just slapping this fix of AI on it. The current education system, right, before has procured manufactured AI, right? So one would argue that nothing's wrong with it because we're advancing as a civilization and based on the current standards of our education.
And we're leaving.
Yes, there are parts. Wait. Okay, fair. And you know what the worst part is, and I'm going to address that, Lion. I would argue that we're going to leave even more billions behind with AI because of the financial costs, because of the environmental costs, and because of the mere fact that we need poor people to make rich people. So with respect to what Io said and King said something about, I'm going to make all y'all slaves, right? It's all profit driven. So I just want to, and I'm not against it at all. I'm literally a proponent for it, right? Like for real. But I just don't think. Let me finish. But I think when it comes to this road, and again, I already said you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. There's going to be an accessibility issue. So now we know that not all people are going to have access to it. Io already said that there's a lottery, right? So there's going to be some sort of some people are going to have access to it, and some people aren't. So that's going to Lion's point, all it's going to do is widen the wealth, the education, and the income gap. Right, but I also wanted to address primarily the financial and the environmental risk to just broadly employing AI. But that was it. Anyway, sorry, I'm good. Okay.
No, I understand, Pops. I appreciate your perspective, even though I know
I have a question.
Say it again, Nathan.
Yes, sir. I was in Barnes and Noble. I just want to say this one thing. I was in Barnes and Noble, and I found a book here. I'm gonna post it as my PTR. Give me a second.
You saw a post from me? He says you saw a post from me.
No, I was in Barnes and Noble. I saw a book that's specifically for you.
For me, okay, let's see what it is. Motherfucker.
They don't have any books.
Let's see what it is. Nathan can't even read, so I don't know why he's lying. Chaos, man? Or Violet? Did you want to say something, Violet?
Yeah, I want to see what book.
Monica, did you want to say something?
Fascinating. I think we should all guess. I think there's a philosophy book on hood wisdom called Book of Nigalations.
Book of Nigalations. to jail.
I got it.
Yo, that is perfect, Nathan.
Science. The totally scientific examination of Nathan's culture, myths, and stereotypes. Very
My book
interesting.
is better, but okay.
Now, the real question is, why was Nathan looking for this section? You said what?
You said that King Solomon's goal is to make us all slaves.
Good question.
Yeah, so you know my running joke, Monica. My running joke is that everyone's going to be my slave on my AI plantation. And it's simply so what it's supposed to illustrate, Monica, is the asymmetrical opportunity that most people, not IO, but most people are missing when it comes to AI. So there are folks like IO and myself that realize it, and so we're doing something about it. So it's very similar, Monica, to because you know I'm a class of 2011 as a Bitcoin, so I'm a very early discoverer of that monetary system, and so this is very similar. These conversations that I have around AI, where there's only a few people who really get it or are proponents of it, it's very similar to my conversations in 2012 to around 14 with Bitcoin. So.
Have you ever cashed out? Ever withdrew any money
So
from
I'm waiting for the price to go to 1.5 to around 2 million, because then I'll be around like a billionaire at that price point. So that's when I'll do some cashing out.
Not yet. Okay.
No.
So when you cash out,
I did have
are you
another
planning
point.
planning on paying the state and federal taxes for that billion?
So hopefully by then, Lion, given what Trump and how the United States is moving, there won't be Lion, I'm hoping there will be no reason to cash out, right? I can just borrow against the assets and just live that way. So there will be no reason to cash out. I can just use it like a mortgage, or because there'll be enough financial instruments around it to where, hey, I can just get cash flow by borrowing against it or doing something of that sort. We already see those tools now. So.
Yeah, I sent the PDF version of it.
There you go, spread the gospel. Nathan, you always spread the rainbow gospel, bro. That's your favorite gospel, bro. I'm telling you, you love these rainbow niggas, man.
I do have a sincere question, because you know, Solomon, I don't use the black slur. I don't call people racial epithets.
I know.
You're not being.
My bad. Go ahead.
Well, Cedric said Nicolations is the same thing and Negro is the same thing, and I'm like, it's not.
Cedric said
I was trying to steer this conversation into money, finance.
I'm sorry, Mommy. Solomon, just mute it in chat.
That's what's going on.
So that's an interesting question.
I don't know. Galatians one sounds like yours.
What's up,
The best thing you came up with today is the
my girl Pocket? What's up, Pocket?
What's that?
Nigga, shut up.
Bro, I was saying this.
Why you telling me to shut up, Ryan?
The Nigerians
I
made
was talking.
Oh, Solomon was about to answer my question, Lion, and then we can go back to finance.
Nathan just said that I was boring, and I said the best thing that he came up with within the last hour was a game book for you. Then I said, nigga, shut up.
I see. Well, in line, I'd love to hear what you have to say about it.
I'll get on this really quickly. I was waiting until the riffraff died down. The best thing I can be used for would be the medical. Imagine you wear a ring like mine every time. All right, how about now?
Yeah, you're
right,
good.
Imagine wearing a wedding ring over your index finger.
Yeah.
You keep that on every day, right? And what this does is it is kind of like a dialysis for your car. Do you remember like plugging in something in your car?
Yeah.
A dialysis machine. And then
A diagnosis? A diagnostic run?
So whatever you call, maybe you'll do.
Okay.
Yeah.
insurance only for me?
Diagnostic
No,
machine, right? Or
it's
a
pretty
diagnostic on hand.
You're in the matrix a little bit, Lion. You're talking about diagnostics.
Right. Now imagine you put this on every day, you keep it on all day around like a ring. And it tells you whenever you're low on certain minerals.
That's literally my sensor, Lions.
Oh, they have one like that. They have a health alert ring like that. It's
But
Not even the health alert ring, Lion. There's this thing where you press right and it draws your blood. And it tells you information like that already.
Yeah, we don't need to draw your blood.
Diabetes.
There's sensors that you don't need your blood anymore.
I'm just saying, they got something. My point is, they got something like that.
Yeah, but it's not continuous monitoring. Lions talking about continuous monitoring.
Right, continuous, and also the other part about it is it will actually suggest proper foods that you're going to need to rebuild the mineral deficiency that you had, lost over whatever period of time. So every morning you just, you have your ring on. It tells you that, hey, you're low on potassium. So you need to, and it also tell you, hey, listen, I suggest.
How would it be able to determine this just from the ring alone?
It would be maybe like radio frequency through your local tablet or computer or something like that.
The radio frequency that you wear.
You're just injecting this type of technology already inside of your body.
Also, you have the technology in your body.
Yeah, it's
Technology in your
it's like nanochips. They're injecting it.
Yeah, I don't do anything, but you have to inject anything in your body. But the point is that if this was possible, then we could possibly preserve life probably into the 200s.
I've heard 150, but yeah, there's pretty much no limit if you can reduce all the stresses and things like that. And here's the hope with our technology, and part of the reason why we got funded was, hey, if there's a signature, radio frequency signature for molecules, and there's a radio frequency signature for when the bacteria is active versus it's dormant, then maybe we can program matter. So maybe in some future, you just say like, oh, look, I'm low on potassium. Okay, so then it sends a bunch of signals into your body, not just measuring the ones from. And that's exciting work being done by Dr. Michael Levin's lab. In fact, their most recent work shows that you can reverse cancers just using these kind of software programs that are not necessarily only correlated to the genes. It's like software that runs on the genes, the signals that oscillate on them. That's something that we had previously missed. That seems to be a big part of the picture. So.
Safe travels, Io, when you go to your convention. Best of luck too.
Yeah, thanks. I'm meeting an investor there, and if anyone's going to be in Detroit, 12th to the 15th, probably meet up or say hi or whatever. Have a good.
Good luck. All right.
Nathan, back to Nathan and his gay science book. Nathan, were you really thinking of Solomon when you took that picture?
You know Nathan is a
Yeah, I was like, yo, I'm
Nathan
looking
is a
at
faggot. You know he was hella sus.
Listen, I went and I looked right in the young adult section.
Uh-huh.
And, they have their fantasy books and everything like that. Then I went by the manga section. I was looking at the manga. Bro, they have the complete Attack on Titans over there, bro. I was like, oh shit. And I went down to another island. And the first thing I see, I was like, oh shit, Kate. And I looked, I was like, oh, gay science, oh shit. Let me go take a picture of this for Kate. But I tell you what book I saw what was for me.
Monica, that don't sound suspect.
This was a book where I saw what I was like, I'm definitely gonna get this book.
That's you asking. Monica, that don't sound suspect, Monica.
It sounds like he's attracted to the man on the cover. It sounds.
I saw this
like
one and I was like,
his beaker and his microscope and all the paraphernalia.
This was the book what I was interested in.
Oh, come on, baby. You know that ain't. That wasn't even. That's something.
Yeah, I was like, hold on, look at this. I
got that off the internet.
I was like, no, bro, this is a